Okay, let's get started now. Hello, everybody. Welcome and thanks for joining on today's session. Today we're going to talk about our next generation of excavator, our current product line of excavators, what we call our next generation of excavations. But before we get there, let me introduce myself so you can know a little bit of the person that's talking to you now. My name is Juan Vila. I'm originally from Venezuela, but also Spanish from the heritage from the family. Living right now in Spain, in the beautiful Malaga in Spain, in which we have a Caterpillar facility, a Caterpillar demonstration and learning center, a sort of a Walt Disney World for the machines, in which we show and we demonstrate our equipments to customers, to dealers, and to you, basically, for covering basically Europe, Africa, and Middle East here in these territories. A little bit of my background: I'm civil engineer. Spent 17 years working as a construction constructor, as a customer, basically. And then since 2012, I moved to Spain from Venezuela and started working for CAT. And today I work in Caterpillar as a product specialist for excavators, covering basically Africa, Middle East, and Turkish regions or Turkish customers. So this is a little bit of me, but now let's get to the real thing, to the deal. Um, as I said on the invitation before, when we're going to talk about excavators, I wanted to spend time or wanted to point it out to what is important to you, which is how these machines are going to help you to reduce your cost, but also are going to help you to be more safe. And this is basically what this presentation is going to be revolving around. I'm going to be talking about excavator, but how they're going to help to you. So the first thing, so we can set the ground, is what are the key drivers for you? What are the key cost driver in your operations? And obviously it will vary. I mean, by the way, you can write it down right now in the chat if you want, so I can see if we have some, or you're listening to me, okay? And also I can also we can engage a discussion, which is the intent of this session. But basically, if you take a global average, obviously it can vary between regions, depending on the fuel cost, of the manpower cost, it could change. But let's say as a rule of thumb, or as a global average, 1/3 of your cost of running a machine is the operator. 1/3 is going to be the fuel. And then 1/3 is going to be keeping the machine up and running, which is about maintenance and repair. The other 10%, in case you are making question right now, I mean, it's insurance, it's taxes, but let's focus on the three key ones as you see here, the 90% of your operating cost, which is fuel, operator, and maintenance. And this is basically, in a nutshell, or the backbone of when we develop next generation excavator, where we put all the focus on is how we reduce your fuel costs, how we reduce your maintenance costs, and how we reduce your operator cost. Okay. Obviously, we cannot influence how much you pay to the operator, but what we can influence how much you get from that hour of operator you pay for. So this is basically the backbone when our engineers develop our next generation of excavator. Basically, every single model was passed through this kind of test. We need to have a machine that deliver or reduce that amount to you. So overall, in our product line, we managed to get significant lower fuel consumption, up to 25% reduction if compared with our previous model. In maintenance costs, up to 20% less if compared with our previous model, but also even lower if compared with our key competitors. The same for fuel. I mean, when I'm talking about this up to 25% is competing against us, competing against our previous model that we are replacing with Next Gen Hex, which, by the way, we're already industry lead in terms of fuel consumption. So you can imagine if compared with our or compare with other competitors from the industry, and then increase your operator productivity, your operator efficiency up to 45%. All in on, increasing also your safety on your operation. And this is basically what we're going to talk about, and what the next generation of excavators somehow or the other have in common. So let's briefly discuss of each one of these three key things, or three cost drivers. The first one, obviously, you feel it every day. Every time you need to top up the tank on your machine, you feel it, you pay for it, is the fuel. All right. What influence the fuel cost? There are many variables, and obviously the key one is how much is the diesel price. But in that one, we cannot do anything, right? I mean, it's very volatile. It changes by market situation and so on. Right now, it's very low, but at some point, it's going to be higher. So it's very difficult for you also the fuel cost to manage and to forecast. The other thing that influences the price, the fuel cost, sorry, is the fuel is how much you get from that hour of machine, or how much fuel you need to put to get 1 cubic meter of material move, or to get 1 ton or 10 tons of material move from point A to point B, which is fuel efficiency. And this is where we put the focus on. We manage, or we put a lot of focus on getting you more production, more output from low or lower fuel consumption. So two things: we reduce fuel consumption in most of our models, but also we increase the productivity in most of our models to reduce the fuel consumption and the fuel cost while getting more production. Another key driver of fuel cost, believe it or not, is idling. I mean, in average, we are connected with our machines. In average, your machine right now is idling 30% of the time. So 30% of the time, the machine is burning fuel that you are not getting paid for it. You are not producing anything out of the 30% of the time. This is an average what an excavator is idling right now outside in the market. And obviously, if you reduce fuel, if you reduce waste, you're going to also reduce your fuel cost, but also other operating costs. So we wanted to also give you some advantage to equip our machine with some technologies to reduce the idling and the reward of wasting time and wasted fuel. And last but not least, needless to say, if you reduce fuel consumption, you're going to reduce your CO2 emission, and you're going to be more environmental friendly, which is also becoming a key thing, not only from the environmental point of view, but also from the cost point of view, because authorities, agencies are putting costs based on or taxes based on how much CO2 you produce on your emissions. So how do we reduce fuel consumption in our machines while keeping the same or even more performance than our previous models? There are many changes we did in our next generation of excavator, and I'm just gonna give you today the key ones. So starting from in the image you're seeing right now, from the left and going clockwise. The first one is we redesigned the pump or the hydraulic pump system. Basically, in most of the cases, we increased the size of the pump, the hydraulic pumps, and also we position it in an inline instead of side by side. These new settings and new pumps allow us to deliver the same hydraulic performance, but at a lower engine demand and a lower engine RPMs, which basically, and I think it's clear, if your engine is working on a lower RPM, at a lower demand, it's also going to burn less fuel while delivering, again, the same or even more power than before. Another key change we implemented in all our next generation of excavator is in the main control valve. We changed, or we moved from Pilot, or the traditional, what you have right now in the previous model, but also in most of the competitors, the traditional pilot control system, which is basically the operator inputs are sent to the valve by hydraulics. So you need a pilot pump, you need a pilot lines, you need more than 90 meters of hoses to give all this pilot control. With the new electro-hydraulic system, this is not pilot control anymore, it's electronically controlled. And what this allows us, among others, several things, is to basically eliminate the pilot system. We don't need pilot pump anymore. We don't need pilot lines. So more than 90 meters of hoses, hydraulic hoses, eliminated. And therefore, all this energy now is saved. And it's saved in terms of fuel, and it's saved in energy that we can dedicate to what is needed, which is the hydraulics system, the cylinders in the boom, in the stick, which is going to give you the power and the production. Another key change we did to reduce fuel is on the fans, on the cooling system. We redesigned the cooling system, so now, before, or let's say before, or in most of the previous models, but also the competitors, you have basically right now a big fan connected directly to the engine through a belt, and it's limited what you can do in terms of reduction the speed when the cooling system is not needed. Let's say you're working on a cold weather, or the machine is just warming up. You can save, or you cannot save, you cannot limit the speed of that fan, so it's consuming fuel, is consuming energy, needed or not. Sorry. With the new cooling system that we redesigned, now we have a more dedicated, electronically controlled fan system. So what I mean with that is now we can control how much cooling we put in the different components that we are need to cool, but also we can do it when it's needed. So when the machine doesn't need that cooling or doesn't need to go at fast speed, it's going to reduce it automatically basic on demand, and it's going to save that fuel for you. Also, that allowed that now you can reverse the fan from the cap electronically and completely program it in all our machines. You can control from the cap. Something that we know is very often that the operator or you need to clean up the fans. So you need to, whether or the traditional way, if the operator we need to go down and clean it and so on. You can do, and you can forget about that in our next generation excavators. You can do it directly and programmable, completely programmable from the cap. And last but not least, in terms of fuel, we implemented a new engine power mode, a smart mode, which is basically is going to intelligently and smartly controlling the engine demand and the hydraulic power and saving fuel when it's needed based on operator input, based on demand. So the machine is going to put in and regulating the engine and the hydraulic power when it's needed. And when it's not, when it's feeling the operator is doing an application, not all the power is needed, it's going to automatically reduce that energy needs, but also that energy consumption, in this case, the fuel. So this is some of the key things we did to reduce the fuel, again, without sacrificing performance. As I said, another key driver of fuel is idling, believe it or not, as I said. And the first thing we wanted to do is give you that information. So if you don't seen it yet, in this Facebook account, there is a session that happened last week, I believe, Alex Favero, in which he covered all the CAT app and the CAT, let's say, off-board technology. But basically, we allow you to connect for free with our next generation excavator and basically get vital information from the machine, which utilization is one of that, from your mobile or from your tablet or from your computer. So the first thing to reduce or to manage something is know where you are right now. So we give you that information. You can see daily when and how this idling is happening and also react accordingly to reduce it. But also we equip our machine with the automatic engine control, the ASC that you see right now on the screen, which is basically going to do when the machine detects that there is not operator inputs, automatically it's going to slow down the RPM of the engine to reduce fuel consumption. And as soon as the operator takes the joystick back, he's going to take the engine back to the previous RPM needed. But it's going to reduce RPMs, it's going to reduce fuel consumption if the operator is not giving that input. Also, we have the engine idling shutdown, automatic engine shutdown, which is basically the operator or you can set a given of time that if the machine is idling more than 1 or 5 or 10 minutes, whatever you want to configure, the machine is going to automatically switch off to stop the fuel consumption when the machine is not being used. So in terms of fuel, I just wanted to put some figures because normally, I mean, we talk about percentage, but we don't realize with percentage how much is that means in terms of in your pocket. How much is that in money, really? So I just wanted to give you an example. Let's take a 20-ton excavators like a 320 or a 320 GC working in an average application, an average job. This machine, if we have compared our, again, with in production study against our competitors, but also again, our previous models, our next gen, our previous D or F series next gen excavator. This machine is basically based on that information that we see is burning between 4 to 5 liters less per hour, doing more or exactly the same production that our previous model. 4 or 5 liters less per hour, doing the same or more, in a 8 to 5 job site, working Monday through Friday, we're talking about more than 10,000 liters per year that you will be saving in fuel. And then you can put the fuel price on your territory and see how much that will mean just in a 20-ton excavator. You can imagine how it would be as the bigger the machine, obviously the bigger the fuel consumption, but also the gap, it will be bigger. So huge, immense a way to save fuel just by not reducing your production, just by the elements I just showing. Again, needless to say, when you produce or you consume less fuel, producing the same, you're also being more sustainable. You are producing less CO2, which is becoming a big thing in the industry right now. So we talk about fuel. Now let's talk about the second one I mentioned, which is the maintenance cost. All right. If you want to reduce your maintenance costs, there are not much that you can do that basically increasing your interval. So you maintain the machine less on longer intervals. So kind of extending the pain of the intervals of the services. You need to reduce your part cost, which is something also that it's something that you need to find, or whether you also need to reduce the number of parts you need to maintain. All right. And the other thing is the lower or the faster the mechanic can service a machine, the lower or the cheaper it will be because it's normally the mechanics charge by the hour, right? So in Next Gen Hex, basically we did a combination of all these elements. Okay. In most of the service interval of the filters and the key components, let's say the consumables, we extended the intervals and significantly extended, not like, I don't know, 1% or 2%, like double in most of the cases, as you will see, and I'll show you later. Other components, we redesigned it, not only to extend it, to make it more durable, but also to be more efficient, like the new engine air filter, that it has to double the retention that it used to have before. And then, as I said before, some of the components, like the pilot system, we completely eliminated. And all the filters and all the components that need to be services on that particular circuits, you don't need to maintain anymore. So we eliminated some parts and some filters that used to be before need to be maintained, as still our competitors, you need to replace and to pay for it. So as I said, in most of the intervals, the key ones that you need to maintain very often, like the fuel filters, like the air filter, hydraulic system, and so on, we basically double. Fuel filter from 500 hours previous model to 1,000 hours now, so 100% increase. Air filter from 1,000 hours, sorry, from 500 hours before to 1,000 hours now. The hydraulic system return filter, 50% increase. Before it used to be 2,000 hours, now it's 3,000 hours. And then, as I said, pilot system or pilot filter, no pilot anymore, so no filters needed. Hydraulic system case drain filter, we redesigned it. Before it used to be a cat ride kind of filter that you need to replace. Now it's a magnetic mesh that you just basically clean up and you can reuse it. So with all that, we significantly reduce the maintenance cost of the machine, and therefore saving money for your operations. The last but not least cost on your operation, and we know it and we face it, is operator, right? And here, obviously, we cannot decide, or we cannot tell you how much you're going to pay to the operator. This is something we cannot deal with. But what we can do is making sure from that hour you pay to the operator, you get as much as possible. You get the most you can get from any other single machine on the same size range. And this is something we did. We put a lot of focus on making sure from that hour of operation you get the most you can. All right. So the first thing we did, and it was a big one, and I wanted to share with you, is we decided to equip all our next generation excavator, except by the GC model. All the next generation excavator will come with a given set of technologies standard on the machine from factory, like the one you see right now, the Greatcut grade system. Basically, we all know a machine, an excavator, is very often going to be digging, it's going to be digging, it's going to be grading, and it's normally have to do it at a given depth or a given slope. Basically, with this system, which again comes standard on every single next generation excavator except by the GC models, you can basically set your depth and your slope, and then you can all the time in real time have a visual reference of what is the bucket position compared to that given depth and slope that you set. So if you just let me show you, you're going to be seeing the operator on the screen down here is going to be seeing in real time how is the position of the bucket compared to the grade and the slope he set. And it's also going to get all the time an audible alarm how close or how far is from that grade. So when it's on grade, it's going to get a visual, but also an audible alarm. Stop, you're there. That's obviously is going to help reduce passes. It's going to help reduce or do it faster, and obviously it's going to also reduce fuel and machine hours to do the job that need to be done. Another technology that we put standard on all the next generation excavator except by the GC line is a payload. Okay, we all know excavator also very often are loading trucks. The operator normally without any payload information is completely blind. He doesn't know how much is in the bucket. He doesn't know how much is in the truck. And then you maybe are in three cases: overloading the truck, underloading the truck, or you're lucky enough you're really loading the truck at the target, but no, you don't know. Okay, so with this system that we put standard on the machine, you all the time, the operator all the time can know exactly in real time what is the payload at the bucket, but also if he set or she set the target payload in the system or in the screen, he can also see what is the payload right now that is on that particular trucks and how much is missing, or it's about to make sure that the truck is completely loaded at a target payload. So not overloading, not underloading, exactly a target payload. You can do it in real time, making sure all the trucks you're loading are going fully loaded. Until now, what I've been showing to you or demonstrating to you is what we call indicate system. The gray or the payload, we give the operator information, but at the end, it's up to the operator to do the movement. With next generation excavator, we went one step further. We said, well, if we can tell the operator what is the depth, what is the slope, can we actually help the operator to achieve it, doing some of the movement for him or for her? And this is what we did. All our next generation excavators, except by the GCs, are equipped with what we call assist functionality or semi-automated functionalities, like the cat grade with assist that you're seeing right now here on the top. The operator now just set the depth, set the slope he wants to dig, and now he just wants to do one movement, stick in or stick out. He doesn't need to do anything else. The rest is gonna be doing, or the machine is gonna do it automatically for him or for her to make sure he achieves that slope and that grade faster, but also to protect him or her to do something that he doesn't want to do. He might make a mistake and overcut. When the assist is enabled, the machine automatically is going to stop it at that particular point, and it's not going to allow it to cross or to overcut that slope or that depth he set. The one you have at the bottom right now, the operator normally are working in a swing range. He's loading here and dumping here. The operator can set a swing assist, which is basically setting a swinging range or a swinging position. And now he doesn't need to stop the machine anymore. The machine is going to automatically stop all the time at the point he said you're going to dump. So it's going to take out of all these motions and these inputs that the operator needed to do. He's going to take it out of his mind, and obviously it's going to help the operator to be more efficient and more productive. As I said, we wanted to do all this, making sure your operations are more safe. And this is something also we in Caterpillar put a lot of focus, and we put a lot of focus on next-gen excavators. Pictures like you're seeing right now on the screen are very often in real life. I mean, the machine is working over a power line or over a bridge, or you have a pipe underground that you know is there and you don't want to touch it, or you have people or traffic or an obstacle around that you don't want to touch. But the operator is working there 10 hours a day, might get tired, and then at some point he forget, he knocked the power line, and then the issues and the fatal accident come. We wanted to make sure, or like the image you see on the screen or below, the operator is lifting away, he doesn't know the way, then he feels the machine can handle it, then he swings, the center gravity of the machine completely changed, and he doesn't know, he didn't know, and then the issues like the fixture happen. So we wanted to equip our machines with elements that will prevent the operator to do something he doesn't want to do and can create fatal accidents, okay? We put in our machine all our next generation excavators, not including the GC, but all the next generation excavator except by the GC will come standard with this technology you're seeing here. Now you can basically, if you have a power line or if you have a pipe underground or you have obstacle, you can create like fences at the top, underneath, around the machine, or even towards the car. You can put fences where the machine automatically will stop when you reach that fence. So just to give an example, let's say the operator is working over a power line. He doesn't want to make sure, never forget about that power line. He just need to get close, the bucket close to that power line, obviously without touch it, and then set that fence. Set, this is the point, I want you to stop me anytime. So now he can forget about it. He can be safe, but because if even if he forget, when the machine reach that point, it's going to automatically stop. Regardless the position of the bucket arm, the machine is going to automatically stop. Same around the machine, same on the ground. Let's say we have a pipe. We know at 1 meter there is a pipe there. I want you to stop me when I go 90 centimeters, just to give me some room for in case. The machine is going to automatically stop when it's getting to the 90 centimeters. You said that was your fence. So obviously that's going to help prevent a lot of, as I said, prevent a lot of situations which can actually drive to safety of fatalities. Okay. On the lifting application that I also mentioned before, we also wanted to give you an edge. And what we did is we equip our machine. All the non-GC model will come standard with lift assist. And what this technology allows is when you're lifting, you can see in real time what is the payload that you can see here, like in your screen. What is the actual payload you're lifting? What is the rated payload? What is the maximum payload that this machine can lift at that particular point? And it's going to proactively be telling the operator what are the safety range of the machine, of the 360-degree position of the machine. What are the key points or the key areas where he can move them that way safely, and which one he should not go because he might be exceeding the lifting capabilities of the machine. So the machine is going to proactively be telling the operator, hey, be careful, because if you rotate to this side, which is orange, you might be exceeding or you are getting close to the rated load that the machine can handle at this position. If that particular circle you see there will be red, that's meaning don't go there. You will be exceeding the load of the machine can lift. So a part of the technologies that I mentioned already before in terms of safety, we wanted to give you, let's say, a less sophisticated one, but also very effective. All our machine will come standard, including this one, including even the GC models. Will come standard with rear view camera, fully integrated on the system of the machine. No extra screen, no something else to see. On the main screen, you will have a fully integrated 360 view camera that can be upgraded as an option up to a 360 view, as a beer eye view, kind of the one you see in the picture at the right. All our equipment also, and this is something we didn't want to sacrifice, not even in the GC. All our machines, regardless if the GC or not, regardless the regions, all the machines and generator worldwide will come standard with ROB certified caps. ROB certified caps, as you know, is a cap designed and tested to, in case the machine rollover, will not damage the inside, which will prevent the operator to have a fatal accident. And obviously, we make a lot of redesign on the machine, not only to make the operator operate safely, but also the people that's going to service, or maybe the same operators that will do the daily checks, also to access and ingress the machine and to serve the machine more safe and faster. So I think it's good enough for today. I think we reached now the time. As I said, there are many things that influence your cost. The three ones are operator, maintenance, and fuel. Obviously, we want all the time safety as a first and primary things we cannot forget. And this is basically what, in a nutshell, or as a backbone, is next generation excavator in Caterpillar about. So with that, I thank you very much for your attention. I hope I managed to convey you the message on the advantage you have with these machines. And open now to your questions. So looking forward to it. So I'm gonna need here, as you can see, I need some backup help. So I have here a question. I have a first question here. Are all the filters compatible with previous generations? So our filters, as I said, are redesigned and completely redesigned to last longer. So our previous generation of excavator, they are not compatible. However, something that is important to say, one of the things also we did with next generation is a lot of commonality between products, between across the product line. So basically, in terms of filters, just to give you an example, fuel filters, we have basically one or two components for the whole product line. All right. So there is a lot of commonality between next gen hex machine, but no, they are not compatible with previous model because exactly of the redesign I mentioned. We completely redesigned it to last longer and to reduce your maintenance costs. So I hope I answered your question. I have another one here. Can this technology work simultaneously? Like example, grading technology with e-fence or fence. That's a very good question, and sorry I forget to mention. The answer is yes. You can work with all or most of this technology simultaneously. So we all understand that the machine might be digging, so you need gray, but also might be digging over a power line, so you need the fence. All this technology or most of this technology can work together. You can be digging and using grade and grade assist, and you can also be dumping that material in a payload, and you want to be able to see both machines working simultaneously, both technology working simultaneously, and you will be able to see both information on the main screen display, which is another advantage of this system embedded, fully integrated on the machine from factory. You don't need extra screen, you don't need to adapt anything. Everything comes standard and completely calibrated from factory uh, on our next generation excavators. So I don't see any other questions. So with that, I conclude the presentation for today. And again, thank you very much for your attention and stay safe. Bye.